Hello and welcome to week 4 in statistics, where we'll be looking at chapter 3 and sampling. Now, sampling is the method that we use to uh, acquire the subjects for our study. That's where it rests in methods. But sampling, the processes, actually speak to some of the, one of the most important concepts in research, and that is probability. Now, unlike some sciences that really deal with definitive, 1 plus 1 is 2. So mathematics, not always, but often is very definitive. There are rules and laws within that operate in mathematics, the same in physics, the same in biology. What happens when we enter the social sciences is we can have a deep understanding of a phenomenon, a human experience of some kind, but then there's so much diversity, there's so many factors associated with what we're trying to study, that the best that we can do is predict the possibility of something, or that the presence of certain factors increases the probability of something happening or decreases the probability of something happening, and that is as good as it gets. Never really have that sort of definitive cause effect sort of piece, even when we have gone through all of the experiments. Now, what that comes back to is when we do research on human beings and we are trying to come up with the theories that explain not just our subjects, but explain all of humanity. We're looking for universal qualities of being human. Not always what we're looking for. Sometimes we're looking for what makes somebody special, individual differences. But when we're looking for those, what can we say about all of human beings? It's a kind of a double whammy on probability. So, first off, in the end, I'm going to end up with information that just suggests some more data that we have to increase our understanding of a phenomenon so that we can more accurately predict the probability of something happening. That's ultimately the best we're going to get out of that. But in the methods aspect of selecting the individuals that we're working with, we also want to ensure that the subjects that we have are somewhat representative of the population to which we want to make those judgments. And the methods that we use affect the probability of us being successful in doing that. So when we look at the different methods of sampling, some of them are very effective at ensuring that there's a high probability that our sample is reflective of our population. In other cases, there is sampling methods that we use, mainly convenience sampling, that has a very high, or I should say, low probability of being reflective of the population at large. Excuse me. It's not that we don't do them, it's that we are cognizant of that, and it causes us to be cautious in terms of how generalizable our findings are. It actually introduces a limitation of our study, which is fine. All research have limitations, and they all, can still effectively contribute to our knowledge. So, we're looking at probability, populations, and samples. And when we look at those specific methods, we have simple random, we have clustered, stratified, and convenient sampling, and there's other more esoteric kinds of sampling that we had depending on what we're looking at for our study. And we're going to be examining how those methods impact the probability that our sample is representative of the population that we're trying to study. Whether that population is children with autism at 4 years old, that's a population, or whether it's everybody on planet Earth. That would be, each one of those are populations, and each would carry its difficulties in terms of sampling. So in the discussion, when we look at what we know about the probability of certain things happening, there's actually sort of a non-zero probability that you're going to walk out of your house today and get hit by a meteorite. It's really, really improbable that it's going to happen. It's a very small number, but it's not zero. There's no zero probability of that happening. So there's statistics all over the place about what is the probability of particular things happen. So I want the discussion to focus on, maybe you can look some stuff of that. What is the probability of you getting into a car accident within the next month? What is the probability of you winning the lottery within the next year? What is the probability of you meeting Mr. Right, within the next 5 years or something like? You can actually look up some of that stuff. And there's very, very often, as much as we like to say, I base my decisions on facts. I base my decisions on, like I'm really conscientious and I'm thinking about things. I'm not taking risks all over the place. Almost everything we do is based on some level of probability. I get up in the morning and I drive to work, and I am fully expecting the college to still be there, that it hasn't been warped up in some sort of physics experiment that made it disappear and move to Mars or something like that. But there is a non-zero probability that that would happen. I'm banking on it being there, and I'm probably pretty okay doing that. However, every time we do something, every time we cross a bridge, every time we walk across the road, there's a non-zero probability of something awful or something awesome happening to us. So talking about those kinds of things, when do we play the odds? Do you gamble? What are the odds of you winning? Have you ever been to, slot machines or something like that? What are your odds of getting of a winning ticket, scratch tickets or whatever? That is all available information, all publicly available. So a discussion about that. The quiz asks you to go back into methods when we talked about sampling. Review the material that we've talked about sampling here, and I present you with 3 studies. And what I'm asking you to do, money unlimited, resources unlimited, I want you to tell me how you would go about creating a sample of that population using the method that I indicate. So here they are. The first one, I want to know how adults in your country feel about the issues of immigration. Wow, that's timely. So we have that question, and I want you to, so it's country, United States, or wherever country you're from. Pick another country. If you were going to sample people in that country, representatively sample those individuals to ask them questions about immigration, and you're going to do it a stratified random sample. In this particular case, you have to look up what stratified is, and then you have to consider what strata are going to be important. Is it income? Is it gender? Is it both? You have to think in relation to that question of immigration. Maybe race might be a good one. And how would you do that? You got to think about these things. How would you do that in your country? If you're going to pick the strata, meaning what thing are you going to, what aspect of that profile of that country you're going to want your divisions to be in order to sample from them, so you get a nice even representation of country. A simple one is when we think about gender. If there's 40% of the people in the country are male and 60% are female, then stratified sample would say that I want one category of people, male and one female, and 40% of my sample would be male and 60% of my sample would be female. But you're picking a different strata, one related to immigration. So connect. The sampling methodology is informed by the question. that you're asking, immigration in this standpoint. The second one, you want to know how anxious college seniors are about their job prospects. We're going to be using the cluster method. Now, this is college seniors. How many colleges are there? Maybe you're going to come and say, I just looked at the ones in Kennebec County. Don't do that. I just looked at the ones in Maine. Didn't look globally. It's like you can crunch it a little bit if you want, but how are you going to use the cluster method to measure that? So how do you define your clusters? And the third one, final one, you want to learn how people remember information based on their mood, and you're going to be using convenience sampling. Tell me how you would do that. And I mean, tell me the procedure that you would use. Unlimited funds, unlimited time. Tell me the procedure that you would use for each one of these to get a sample that's representative of the population that you're trying to study. Okay. Chapter 3 assignment is very straightforward. What it introduces you to is in the analysis toolkit, there is a random number generator. And what this does, you pick a span of numbers. Let's say I wanted a simple random selection of students at KVCC. I'm going to study the population of students currently registered for courses at Kennebec Valley Community College. I get a list of everybody, and I put numbers on that list. And let's say there's 947, and I want 100 people for my study. I can take this tool and say, give me 100 numbers that exist between 1 and 947. And it would give me 100 numbers, and those numbers would be the people that I would select in order. So it gives me 43. I look at person 43. That's part of my sample. Look at 57. Look at 920. And it would be random numbers. And that's the way we use random number generation. So the assignment is to look at a set. I give you the parameters and to use that tool to generate a random list of numbers. So there you go. Fun times. I am about halfway in grading your proposals. I'm hoping to finish those today. It's Sunday. So hopefully some of them are definitely going to go out today, the ones that I've graded. And I apologize for it taking so long. It's been a busy start. So I will be getting those out to you, and that will begin our official process of processing your research projects. So pretty excited about them. They're looking pretty good. All right. So that's it for now. That's it for this week. Enjoy this week. I look forward to seeing you online, and take care.